Okay, I'm going to start now. So this is our presentation on parks, health benefits, and environmental justice. So to begin with, we want to talk about what are parks, how do we determine their value, and what benefits do we get from them. So what are parks? Parks are a common pool of resource. So their resource value can decrease from overuse because they are non-exclusive and rival. So anyone can go to the park, but overcrowding of the park can result in the decreasing the value of the park for everyone that's there or for all the visitors. Another problem with parks is that they are undervalued and underappreciated. So the invisibility of nature refers to how people often undervalue or overlook the true value of nature, which happens a lot with parks. And people don't often appreciate public parks and access to nature until it's gone. So how do we determine the value of parks? So we can do this through non-market valuation. And we need to do this through non-market valuation because it can help us correctly prioritize projects and consider the public's values and maximize the benefits per dollar spent. So there's two main methods for non-market valuation. The first one is revealed preference method. So the revealed preference method uses existing data from a related market for values. One example would be like the travel cost method. The issues with this method are that it requires strong assumptions, and if there's no direct link to the related market, then you might not fully capture the value of the market you're trying to estimate. The other method is the stated preference method, which gets values from the public using surveys. This can pose a lot of issues relating mostly to human error. So people might feel differently when they're taking the survey versus when they're asked to pay later. Lastly, I want to talk about what kind of benefits we can get from parks. So economic benefits. A study done in Maine showed that a lot of supporters of a new national park in Maine believed that all the tourism generated from the new park would positively impact the local community and create a lot of new jobs, which the study confirmed. Other benefits are environmental benefits. So parks and green infrastructure, so connecting different hubs and linking them can save ecosystems and parks provide origins and destinations for wildlife and ecological processes to move through or be moving to. Some benefits of green infrastructure and parks are cleaner air and water, increased recreational opportunities, and a better connection to nature.
Okay, so is for my part, the health benefits for the greenness. So exposed to the greenness have the benefits for the stress reduction, cognitive restorations. The outcome for it would be the reduced psychiatric morbidity, including depression and anxiety. Another benefits for the exposure greenness exposure will be increased physical activity, which directly benefits to reduce the psychiatric morbidity, including depression and anxiety. Well, basically everything reduce the overweight, obesity, reduce the cardiovascular disease, all-cause mortality, and the improve of birth rate outcome. So, and the other four of the benefits would be the increase of social interactions and cohesions, which helps the people which helps to the mental health illnesses to reduce the mental health illnesses. And the other benefit will be the noise mitigations, heat and humidity regulation, because the parks and the greens in the city helps to bottle the heat and reduce the noise. And it also helps to the air pollution filtration. And the next, okay. So increase the greenness in the city, also increase the physical activity in most of the case, but some study shows that the greenness and the physical activity have a negative relationship due to many different factors like age and ethnicity and genders. Increased urban green space have a positive association for increasing playtime outdoor and physical activity for the children significantly, and the greenness and the forest proximity have also a moderate positive association with a lower prevalence of excessive screen time. Examining the adjustment from the gender, well, all these surveys are examining based on the adjustments from gender, age, income, and the education level. So the greenness increase in general, they increase the physical activities, which led to help to reduce obesity, mental health, and cardiovascular disease. So the neighborhood with a greater greenness was associated with a lower rate of obesity in general, but not all, because of the gender, age, race, and ethnicity and density. Some community with a great greenness, but they also have a heavy problem of the obesity. And for the mental health, the urban greenness has a potential positive influence on mental health by encourage people have outdoor exercise and social interact with other people, which it provide a directed way for the physiological health benefits. And the greenness associated with a lower rate of stress, anxiety, depression, and mood disorder, and the propensity to psychiatric morbidities. And the cardiovascular outcome, urban greenness associated with a social cohesion, physical activity, pollution exposure, and the lifestyle that may derive the risk of having a cardiovascular disease. On the study set, the area with a lower green space associated with a high level of cardiovascular disease mortality, and many other studies said like people who live in a more green space area associated with a lower cardiovascular disease. But many of studies not accurate or because are not accurate because they haven't detailedly write down all the other factors or variables. For examples, because some like for example, gender, women tend to have a less cardiovascular than men. So for women who live in a lower green space community, they also have a less chance to getting a cardiovascular outcome than those men who live in a community with a higher green space, or the educations. People who live in people with less educated, they live in a higher. They are living well. Hold on. Yeah. Another factor would be education matter. So for those rich, well-educated people, they live in the city, especially like in downtown area with a less greenness, but they also have a less chance to getting all kind of a cardiovascular disease than those people are less educated, poor, but living in a suburban area. This due to probably because economic effect or the access of a better better healthcare, something like that. Okay, now I can go to the next slide. Yeah, so there is inequality for people to access of greenness and green space. This particular matter on the factor on the health on the income level and the ethnicity. So in the US, ethnicity, like especially like a Black and Hispanic community, they have a much less, their community have a much less green space than those white people in the higher income community. Yeah. And let me, yeah, basically that's all. Yeah.
Okay. Environmental justice. So environmental justice is the movement to ensure that no community suffers disproportionate environmental burdens or goes without enjoying fair environmental benefits. Okay. Some visual representations of environmental justice are the following. This one is green is not white, because usually green spaces, environmental benefits, usually favor those in white communities or those who are richer. And then environmental justice is rooted in fighting racism, as these racist practices have contributed largely to the disparities across benefits to parks and other green spaces, as we have talked about. This is another picture showing a little white boy and a colored girl and just the different environments they face in their communities. And this one is just how we all should take care of our environment, our world, and we're all equal and enjoying the benefits that it provides for us. So the framework for environmental justice is a lot of different things. It deals with housing, the environment, transportation, health. So things like air and water pollution, access to healthy food, environmental degradation. Those are all important issues within the framework. All of it help in promoting healthy, sustainable, and equitable communities. Okay, so for this project, we're focusing on parks, which are a public good and have been an issue recently. So parks are essential for our physical and mental well-being. The Trust for Public Land created a park score index that measures how well the 100 largest US cities are meeting the needs for parks. The park score rating is measured across 5 different categories, which include acreage, investment, amenities, access, and equity, which are all important factors when we look at what is accessibility, what does that mean, whether that's walking distance, the quality, the size of the park, all of that. So I included the park score because I think it does a pretty good job depicting the equity that we want in our parks. So how is Portland doing? Well, Portland's ranked number 10 so far in 2021 out of the 100 largest US cities. So at first glance, we can see that Portland's pretty all right in access, investment, acreage and amenities could do better. And the lowest scoring category was equity, which is pretty much one of the main issues with that environmental justice tries to face. However, 90% of residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park here in Portland, against a national average of 55%, so that's pretty good. And we can see pretty equal distributions across different age groups and income groups with about 89 to 91 or 92%, which is pretty good. And also by race and ethnicity, we can also see equal access in parks. Looking at the data deeper, we can see that even though access is equal across different groups, the park space per person in different income levels or different race and ethnicity groups are different. So residents in low income neighborhoods have access to 26% less park space per person than the city median and 60% less than those in high income neighborhoods. And residents in neighborhoods of color have access to 24% less park space per person than the city median and 61% less than those in white neighborhoods. So we can see there's distributional concerns and disparities when it comes to parks here in Portland, even though access is pretty much available throughout. Some more data on Portland parks. Dog parks were in the 99th percentile, bathrooms 100th percentile. Playgrounds were pretty low, same with recreation and senior centers, and basketball hoops is pretty much like the median. Portland's park spending per capita was among the highest of the US 100 largest US cities at $250. And then this is just a video of me going to a park nearby in Portland. So yeah.
So right now we're walking to the park. I think it's called Colonel Summers Park. A fact is that 90% of Portlanders live within 10-minute walking distance from a park, and I happen to be one of those. Well, I have, what is this called?
Stroller.
The stroller. And sometimes you can't go on the sidewalk. So we're on the street right now just because the sidewalk's cracked and uneven. I don't have a baby in here, I have a cat in here, so I can only imagine mothers with their babies. It's not that bad of an access issue though to get to the park, but you know, something to think about. Well, we just got here. I've been here a couple times and it is more poppin' than usual. I think as the weather gets more nice, more warm, we'll see more heads out here, but I like it. This neighborhood is fairly nice, well kept. The neighborhood looks clean. There's a lot of different amenities for all sorts of people. There's basketball courts, like benches, dining table, or tables, picnic tables, there's swings, there's monkey bars, there's this tetherball thing, there's everything. So I think this calls for some more exploration on the census data of the type of people who live here. Because we know parks of higher quality and with more amenities and that are larger usually have a large white population living in the area. I moved to Portland maybe like a year ago, but one thing that I've noticed is that there are a lot of restrooms at parks. Trust ranked Portland in the 100th percentile for the amount of bathrooms per capita, as they have 6.1 per 10,000 residents. And at this park, you can see a bathroom. Also, the bathrooms are supposed to be covered in this protection that doesn't allow for graffiti and stuff like that, so it stays nice. Really, there are all types of groups of people here at this park. Young and old people, little kids playing, dogs too. This park is used by everyone, which the park is supposed to be my cat too. It serves her too. And watches the birds and the bugs fly by her. But that's what it's all about, and that's what I want this to focus on. I haven't been on monkey bars since I was a little girl, but I really wanted this to be the outro, so I recorded my journey here to this park because it's a park I go to a lot. And I just want to record it and just spit out some facts and just make it feel more local, because it is. Parks may seem like a government issue, but it affects all of us. So access, quality of parks, amenities, acreage of parks, it all matters, and it's all beneficial for our health. Later.
Okay. So the park that I went to was called Colonel Summers Park. And so the Trust for Public Land is where all my facts were from and that were included earlier. They also have like a ParkServe website where you can look at parks in any area in the top 100 largest cities, I believe. So I just looked up Portland, Oregon, found the park that I went to, and I saw like in the yellow, you can see where is considered a 10-minute walk from the park. So the number of residents that the park serve is almost 10,000, and there's 6 acres. So that is the map of the park. And then the website also includes like the demographics of, or the race and ethnicity for the people that live there. So we can see that is a majority of white people, followed by Hispanics and those of mixed races. So the park mainly serves those of white communities, and the age is mainly adults. Adults make up most of the population in the area, and there is a large amount of actually low-income households in the neighborhood. However, high and middle income households outweigh the number of those in the low income. And that's all.